I have always loved watching camping conversion videos. To me, there's something very attractive about this idea of building a place where you can travel while still being at home. This summer, we decided to make that dream into a reality. We had visited Italy before, however we've only been to specific cities, especially in the north, like Venice, Rome, but for example at the south we hadn't traveled at all. So this time we wanted to see a little bit more of the country, and we decided that 4 weeks and a road trip were the best way to do that. However, that wasn't going to be easy at all, because we had quite a few restrictions. First of all, our budget for the camping conversion was only 300 euros. Secondly, we needed a comfortable and flat bed that would fit both of us inside of the car, and it needed to be comfortable because we were going to be there for 4 weeks. The third restriction is that it had to be a conversion of our car. We couldn't afford to buy a bigger car, so it would have to be the Renault Scenic 2. Number 4, I wanted the bed to also fit when the back row seats were still in the car, just folded down and not completely removed, so that I could still use this bed also on later smaller trips. And the fifth restriction is that the bed needed to fold into a smaller footprint, because we don't have much space in our apartment and we wanted to store it for later. So with all that in mind, after measuring the car, we went to Obi to buy some wood plates for our bed. The idea was to get 3 wood plates that would be attached by hinges, and that would make them foldable. We made the first rectangular cuts at the shop for them to fit the dimensions of the car. They couldn't be the same width, so the car is narrower at the back, so we already cut the first plate for that width. But then it gets wider again here from that point onwards, and then the second one is pretty much fitting with the door, but here in the front it kind of gets narrower again, and that's why the third plate also needs to get a little shortened. We also bought a saw to cut the wood and make it fit in the shape of the car at the front, because the passenger side needed to be longer than the driver's side for me to be able to fit in it. And I already ran into the first issue after I saw that with the saw that we bought a small one so that we could save space for storing it later. I couldn't make any long cuts with it, which is so obvious of course to anyone who has ever touched wood before and worked with it, but it wasn't to me. Then I had to go to the shop again and buy a better saw that would make it possible for me to actually cut the front wood. When it comes to the support of the bed, it would have to be by foldable legs. And I saw different kinds of legs that they would sell on Amazon or on the internet that would just shrink down, but they didn't seem much promising to me, so I came up with my own idea. My solution this time was getting 2 wood bars, cutting them to fit the different depths of the car and attaching them by some 90-degree hinges, which would be foldable in the way that the legs would be flat, but when they were at 90 degrees they would also lock in place. Also, I didn't want to use more legs than necessary, and remember, this bed is not a one platform, it has 3 different sections, and it actually needs at least 3 touching points for each section for it to be like a plane, mathematically speaking. But generally it would be like on a chair or on a table that it needs 4 legs for it to be stable. But I didn't want to have like 12 legs on this bed, so my solution was to actually position these legs in a way that they are at the spot where 2 plates meet, meaning that the hinges would be supported, for example, at the back plate, and then when the leg would come down to support the plate, the front part of the leg would actually extend so that it would also support the front plate. And with that solution I managed to bring the number of legs down to 6. 2 at the back, 2 in the middle between the back and the middle plate, and 2 other between the middle and the front plate. Then the front plate was laying on top of the passenger seat. Another decision that I made that I regretted later was not using detachable hinges to connect the back and the middle plate. And I fixed it in the front, where I connected the middle and the front plates with detachable hinges, which you can just pull out this rod thing that's in between, that's in the middle of the hinges, and then completely take the plate out and then lay it on top of the rest of the platform, so that during driving we could make the bed shorter, and at night we would push the front seats to the front and then attach the front plate so that we could actually fit on this bed. And then to make it more comfortable, I bought a 9 centimeter thick cold foam mattress from Amazon. And I was a bit worried about it in the beginning because I had read some reviews saying that with time it wasn't comfortable, but I'm happy to confirm that after sleeping on it for 4 weeks, it was really a comfortable solution, and actually quite thin. And also because it was a one-piece cold foam, we had to cut it in shape of our special bed, and I did that by myself, but that wasn't very difficult. Just use the normal knife and try to make straight cuts. But during the day, since it was only a one-piece bed, the way we would make it smaller is by actually rolling it. Now, in order to protect the wood itself and also the interior of the car from this bed frame, I did two things. The first one is to use interior wood stain so that the wood would be a bit smoother. And the second one was to add some clear edge protector around the edges of the wood so that when it would touch with the interior of the car, it wouldn't leave any scratches. That left us with a lot of space on top of the bed for us to sleep at night, but also with a lot of space for us to store things under it. And we couldn't store everything under it. Some, like the mattress, of course, had to be on top, but also some cloth bags that we got from IKEA also had to rest on top of the bed behind the mattress. And also at night when we would lay the bed down, some of these things like the laundry boxes had to go in the foot spaces in the front seats. Other things that we had to carry was an actual fridge that could be charged either by plugging it into a normal wall socket or by plugging it into the car itself. We also got a few more boxes from IKEA to put other things, like a box that was dedicated to towels and another box that was dedicated to board games and the dishes. But we also wanted to make it comfortable, so we had to get two very comfortable folding chairs and also two tables so that we could cook and eat comfortably. What I loved about our camping conversion is that basically everywhere we went, we were actually the smallest one of the camping spot. And I noticed that on the faces of other campers when they were walking by, that they were wondering how we were actually doing it, that we were sleeping in this small car and also having all this chair and tables and all this setup outside. And some of them even actively asked us how that works and were looking inside of the car. But of course, having a small car also comes with some drawbacks, and that's actually work. The work is the main drawback, because it took anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes after arriving at the camping spot to actually set up the camp, because we would have to, everything needed to be at a specific place, so it also needed a lot of organizational thinking, and when we would take it out, it would have to go back in at the exact same order and at the exact same space, otherwise it wouldn't fit. Depending on how many things we wanted to take out for the night, if we wanted to take out the chairs and both tables and the camping stove, that would take more time, and to put them in, it would take even longer. So, but if you just wanted to make the bed, then it was something like 10 to 15 minutes. Just make the bed, attach the plate at the front, flatten the mattress, and it was ready to sleep. But so those 10 to 15 minute sessions were not as common as the longer ones, when we would actually have to prepare the whole place. But overall, this was a camping trip that we will never forget. We got to see so much of the country, starting from the north at the Dolomites, continuing on the west side to Puntala, driving downwards to Amalfi Coast, going further down to Bari, and then driving up on the east side. We did some wine tastings. We saw how they prepared the famous Parmigiano cheese, and we got to actually see a lot of the country, and we feel like we know it a lot more now thanks to this trip and thanks to this camping conversion that we decided to make. So the message that I want to leave on this video is that a smaller camping setup is possible. You can actually see a whole country with it on a road trip if you're willing to put in some work. That means to build the camper in the first place, and also with all the organization afterwards. You have to put a lot of thought into it, and also all the work of putting stuff out and in again. But if you're willing to do that, you can totally see a whole country without needing to spend tens of thousands of euros on a proper camper. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.